This is one of the hardships of one of the tough things about being a nomad is nothing is predictable. Everything's changing. Even here at Government Wash, where a lot of these bathrooms are open all the time, flush toilets, it's really kind of nice. You've got dumpsters, well, they're still here. But nobody really knows why. The bathrooms are closed, which is not a big deal. I just take a shovel now and walk out into the desert. But still, it's just a disappointment. Things are changing, and that's kind of the topic of this video right now. Is we've noticed a few things, and they're turns for the worse. So let's talk about that. So I guess one of the things that we have noticed over the last couple years on the road, and part of it is a trend of being in a van life, and people watch all of these videos, and there are certainly a heck of a lot more of these $40, $50, $60,000 vans and van builds, and people kind of going out and kind of following the van life trend. But also there's a lot of other people out just because of COVID. Has forced a lot of people out of their houses, and there's this great disparity between what you can earn as a living, plus the incredibly increasing cost of just trying to find a place to live and paying landlords, and so a lot of people are out with that. And we've just noticed this trend when we get into civilization of a little bit more anger or resentment, I think. Some places tolerant, like when we were in Seattle, you can park anywhere for 72 hours on a public street in Seattle. However, because of COVID, they don't even enforce that. And many people are very upset with that because people are abusing it, of course, and leaving their trash and putting clotheslines out between trees and a park. And so there's always those problems. But we were vandalized, if you saw the previous video, with a rock. And I'm sure it probably was just people didn't like the fact that we were parking by the Puget Sound area at night. And they were frustrated, I think, with that. The other day, Marvy and I, we always go to this one place in Las Vegas here. We stop and we do laundry for like 3 hours at this specific place. And then around in the same parking lot area, there's a Dollar Tree, but also a Merietas Mexican grocery store, which we always go to. And so this week earlier, we were at the laundromat for like 3 hours, whatever time it takes, and there's a guy who blows the dirt off the sidewalks, and he's in charge of, I guess, cleaning the lot. And we've seen him a couple times while we were doing laundry there. And then, but anyway, yesterday, so we went and we parked out front of the grocery store at 6 in the morning or 6:15. And while Marvy was getting ready to do shopping, I went into the store, got change, and outside of the store is a water machine, and I filled all of our water in our van. And then I came back in, and I got in the back I'm finishing up a shopping list, and Marvy's towards the front, and the guy who does the blowing came up and just started screaming at us that we have to get out, that we can't stay there all day, 24 hours a day. I didn't hear any of this. Marvy did, and then when I found out that she was being yelled at and what for, I went after the guy and asked him about it, and he just swore that we were always there, very angry, and said he was in charge of everything. It turns out he was just a janitor or whatever the guys are that clean the lots and things like that. But boy, it got to one point where I said, you're dead wrong. We only been there 3 hours. It escalated to the point where he actually made a physical threat and got in front of my face. And so I quickly de-escalated it, and then we left after I filed a report to the property management company about him. But we've noticed this tension a lot. We've noticed an increase sometimes in the park enforcement also. So what do you do? I mean, we're here now at Government Wash, and we really enjoy it here. So Government Wash is really a nice place. I mean, if you want to get down by the water, you can go down to the water, although the levels of Lake Mead are dropping considerably all the time, and it's pretty much coming into a crisis situation. But it's the one place that people aren't really going to hassle you. I mean, we do have, the park police come by, and if your dog's off a leash, it could be a ticket of $500 or whatever. But generally, if you're not causing any problems, they just give you a warning and all of that. But we do notice in places tightening of restrictions. We were at a pilot truck stop, which mostly you can spend the night at, but we pulled in about 3 or 4 nights ago to spend the night, and we were cooking dinner, and there was a rap on the door by the security police and said we had to leave, and we had to pay $7. I'm like, $7 to park on the concrete in a truck stop, where normally most truck stops you can usually do an overnight, even though most of them have signs. If you ask them, they go, yeah, that's fine. You can't stay more than one night, but yeah, you can stay one night. But this guy said, well, you were here last night. I'm like, no, we weren't. And he goes, well, this whole place is filled, and you have to pay $7. So I went and spoke with the managers, and they said, no, the first night's free, but then, there's so many transients and people living in their cars that we won't let you do that. So, and there's nothing wrong with a law like that. I mean, it's great that they're extending it, but they're enforcing it a lot more now, because we woke up the next morning and yes, the parking area that had only like 10 spots was filled. People parked on the sides and near the trucks that were trying to pull out. And so I'm not saying society's against us and we're, victims and we should be martyrs, and I'm just saying that I'm just kind of feeling this like tension whenever we're in civilization and cities and towns that make us really kind of want to stay out here where it's a lot quieter, it's a lot nicer. So those are the situations that I've had experience with, and I know a lot of people who've had similar. I speak to other nomads that are out here and other places we go to, and if you're not in a designated area, you have a tendency to get a little friction with other people. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Just get a quick video out for you guys, let you know that we're down heading south. We're waiting for some good friends of ours from Colorado. They're not sure if they're really going to head down in winter down into the desert. They have a big RV and they haven't decided what they want to do yet. They're only about an hour and a half north of us, and probably in the next day or two they'll make that decision. And if they come down, we'll travel and hang out with them. They're great people. And but I think after this, it's still in the high 80s, low 90s, down closer to Lake Havasu, and then even hotter in Yuma and Phoenix area. So we'll probably stay here another week or two, and I might do some other informational videos. If there's anything you guys want to know about or talk about, let us know. Put it in the comments below. And, you do that whole subscribe, like, share, all of those things. And thanks again to our wonderful Patreon folks. And also, if you have any comments about, have you had any experiences? Have you either traveled? I know most of you aren't nomads, but if you do traveling, do you run into situations, and what are those situations? Or are there things that you are afraid of that may prevent you from doing this type of a lifestyle, or at least traveling or staying out in either national forests or dispersed camping or on BML land? So let us know what your thoughts are. And other than that, I'm going to enjoy this beautiful sunrise, go in and have another cup of coffee, and enjoy my day off today. Thanks. See you down the road.